Hello guys, this is Des12520, back again with another weapon review. Today I'll be looking at the rage weapon of very many people's lives in this game, especially when the game first released. We'll be looking at the SHAREfactory K10 variant, also known in Battlefield as the SHAREfactory. So, simply put, let's get some of the real life weapon stats out of the way. The K10 is not actually a real weapon. It was a prototype weapon developed to basically be a more compact version of the SHAREfactory. I haven't been able to find anything stating that it went to production. It was supposed to be a show weapon at some point, and it just never went through. It was intended to be a multi-caliber submachine gun platform, and that's all you can really find on it. But it functionally is the same thing as a SHAREfactory, so I'm going to call it that. As for the weapon as it's used in Hardline, it fires a .45 ACP, which is the same that the standard SHAREfactory uses. If you guys don't know what 45 ACP is, just think of the M1911. Yeah, either way, so that is the story about the weapon that I know of. If it were to be adopted or produced, it would probably be used by police forces, since, well, that's what this weapon was intended for, maybe even some military purposes. But who knows? Either way, time to get into the actual legitimate weapon stats, and time to talk about this monster. So, first things first, I'm going to point this out. I'm going to talk about, for damage stats, I'm going to do pre- and post-patch, because pre-patch and post-patch, this weapon used to be extremely different in how fast it killed, and I'll tell you guys why in a second. So, either way. So, this is a mechanic weapon that can only be unlocked for law enforcement, and it is at the cost of $33,000. Thankfully, they gave me the actual cost this time. Its fire modes are fully automatic, semi-automatic, and 2-round burst, and it fires them at a rate of 1200 RPM, which is actually the fastest firing weapon in Hardline, which odes to how horrific it is. Its magazine is 25 in the mag plus 1, or 20, or just 25 in the mag plus 1. In single player, it also has 27 plus 1, which is strange, so it actually has a different mag size than the single player. Its reload times are 1.5 seconds loaded, and 2.23 seconds when empty. So, the weapon also has a velocity of 310 meters per second, which is very much below average and very slow. And it also has a damage of 33 to 8. And before they patched this weapon, because they had to nerf this weapon because it was so good, it used to do 34 to 14, which allowed it to not only 3-shot in close range, but also allowed it a few less shots to kill at range. Now it takes 11 shots to kill, when it used to only take 9. So, just be thankful you're using the weaker version of this weapon, because this whip used to be even more overpowered. As for recoil, it has .22 upwards and .45 to the left and right equally. And for its final stat, the fire shot multiplier is 2.4x. Okay, boy. So let's just say, while I was using this thing, I took my headset off and started just messing around. Like, that is how easy this gun is to use. If I want to give you any one word of advice for this weapon, simply put, how the hell are you not in range? Like, that's the only thing you have to worry about with this weapon, is being in range. The recoil is not too bad. It's equal kick left and right, so it's not going to drift to any direction worse. It's just going to look like it's jiggling a little bit. The recoil upwards is some of the lowest I've ever seen in the game, and if you have a heavy barrel or anything to extend the barrel, it pretty much has 0 recoil. Like I said, your only limiting factor is your range. And if your opponents have taken any damage whatsoever during any of its different damage models over range, they take 1 less shot to kill if they've taken at least 2 damage from any weapon or anything for at least any range, mind you. And at close range, if they have taken just 1 point of damage, this weapon is a 3-shot kill, which a 3-shot kill at 1200 RPM is terrifying. So, as for my opinion on the weapon, this is by far the easiest SMG I've ever used. Like I said, I could literally take off my headset and not care, and I could still kill people with this weapon. It is terrifying. As for recommendations, buy it. If you don't buy it, you're a moron. Like I said, this thing is the easiest way to get free kills. And if you guys have never played this game before, if you guys play this and don't know, yeah, the enforcer has the mechanic has a little thing called the vest. And if you guys don't know what the vest is, the vest literally just says you take less damage from bullets. So you take a slight bit less damage from everything, which means not only are you tankier than every other character in the game, besides maybe a medic who's sitting on his medic crate, you are also the fastest killing non-shotgun, non-sniper user in the entire game. At least within your range, obviously. But the thing is, though, is that this weapon can go out to about 20 meters before it actually drops off completely, like before it becomes useless. So, don't be surprised if you get a few mid-range kills here and there. Okay, now time to go on to my recommendations. I have two of them. One of them is the sort of, how would I call it, like the IRL Chris Vector setup, which is simply heavy barrel, laser sight, or whatever accessory you really want. It don't matter too much. I recommend laser sight and a holographic scope. This is actually quite similar to how the Chris Vector is used in real life with its longer range, where it's longer barrel, which is kind of funny because that's actually one of the best ways to run this weapon. It gives you a bit more accuracy in close range, and it gives you a slightly better recoil pattern while standing still. It's not exactly stat-wise the greater thing to use, but it just gives you a bit more range out of it. So you can actually hit a bit more targets at long range, even if you probably shouldn't. And the holo sight, just because it's iconic, it's what people generally like using on the Chris Vector, and I actually love using this weapon with the holo sight, even though I hate the holo sight in this game for the most part. This is the only weapon I love it on. And next will be the sort of, I don't know, I would call it the Secret Agent Man loadout, but basically it's just your standard stealth loadout that is running any suppressor, any red dot, any laser sight you want. I don't know if you can actually equip grips on this weapon, believe it or not. Don't ask about the fact that I don't know the attachment slots for my own weapon. But even so, if grips actually play a part, it's not that big of a deal. You could probably run any of them. But yeah, overall, besides this weapon's range limitations, I obviously think this is probably the best weapon in the game to just run around with. So yeah, as for my star rating, out of 5 stars, I will give this weapon a 5 out of 5 stars. This weapon is not only extremely strong in its range, but it can also push its range out, and it actually has fast reload times for having such a fast fire rate, which is something that they usually balance weirdly. So overall, this weapon is just extremely good, and if you're playing on the cop side, unless you're trying to like use a weapon that you like more feel-wise, this is probably the weapon you should be using for the mechanic. So at the end of this, I'm just gonna plug this in. I have now made a playlist for all of the weapon reviews. I won't link it down in the description because I can't link playlists because PlayStation recording sucks. But I will call it out in this video. As for that, the next 2 weapons I will be reviewing are going to be the what the hell is it called? The frickin' G3 that they have, the PR61, something like that the scout class has for the frickin' criminals. And I will also be going over the I'll be going over the SR25 for the scout class for the cops. So yeah, those will be the next 2 weapons. They are both semi-auto DMRs, but they share a lot of similarities, so I want to go over them. So yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, subscribe. I usually don't say that, but I'm going to this time. So yeah, I'll probably get another video out tomorrow. Once again, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys all later.